this month has all been about freedom, yes? How have you done with that? I loved Sherry Verson last week when she said that this month has really, where are you, Sherry? Oh, right there. When you said that this month really has impacted you, right? So what I want to do today, and I guess I will use my own slides, Thor, so it's good. I'd like to go over what we've done this month. You good? There is a test at the end. We will be giving it out. No. Although it's funny, somebody this week said to me, do you have the capacity? It was someone at the Emerson Institute. They didn't say, do you have the capacity? They said, we don't think you have the capacity to write a short test. And I was like, all right, who called you? Which one of my students has been complaining? I said, I have the capacity to give a short test. I don't see the purpose of them. So on week 1, I asked the question, what is freedom? And it said, freedom is the power or right to act, speak, or think as one wants without hindrance or restraint. Remember that? And if you don't, some of you are here, well, if you're here for the first time, you're getting all of the month in one moderately short talk. So the power to act and speak and think as you want without hindrance or restraint. But then what I talked about is the fact that the domino effect is really what stops you from being free. And you put it in place. You created whatever that domino is. Now, the domino is really your beliefs. There's some core belief that you have, something that shows up, that you create. You have this core belief, and it's a domino effect. If I believe this, boom, this happens, this happens, this happens. Now you're just part of this movement of life, and you think you're free, but actually something's behind you, nudging you, pushing you, and they're your core beliefs, whatever they are. So I've asked you this month to really take some time and think about what are your identifiers? And I talked this first week about religion being an identifier, community morals, age, sex, marriage, sexual orientation, education, talent, beauty. The list goes on and on and on and on. All these identifiers, which is interesting because we're living in a world now where there are so many identifiers. He, she, they, I am he, they, I am he, she, I am all these different identifiers. And I think where we're going to land, and I have no problem with all of that. I'm doing my best to remember everybody's identifier, truly. And if I make a mistake, I will say, I'm so sorry, I understand. But I think we're going to get to the point where we stop having to have all of these identifiers and realize we are all one people on one planet, living in one energy, and hello, here's who we all are, rather than all of these identifiers, because the identifiers are the dominoes that do this. Keep doing this. So, week 2, who or what gives you permission to be free in any area of your life? Where are you finding your permission? And the permission thing's been a big one for me this month. When I gave that talk, I instantly was like, so where do I give myself permission? Where don't I give myself permission? And by the way, if you remember that day, I had a shirt on that Kevin did not give me permission to wear to church that day. And today, this is not the shirt, but it's a sister to the shirt. It's a similar type of shirt, because it has some of my anatomy more profoundly forward than others. And so I put it on today, and I was actually testing him. He did very well. I actually put it on, and I went, what do you think of this shirt? And he stopped for a minute, and I was just about to say, I don't care. And he went, no, that one works. And I was like, damn it. Now he thinks I asked for his permission, but I didn't. But I've really been spending time this month going, where do I not give myself permission to live, to just be who I am? Where am I still using identifiers? Ministers don't act like that. I actually don't think that very often, but sometimes it does occur to me. Ministers wouldn't act like that. What ministers? Am I a part of some brotherhood of ministers that should all act the same way? Because they don't, and we don't. Are you a part of anything that says to you, are you a part of writers, the Writers Guild, Eric, that's like, all writers act one way? No, we're individuals, so we should have permission to live whatever wants to come out of us, yes? Yes. You all good with that? Have you been giving yourselves more permission this month? Who hasn't? Good answer. Okay. So Ernest Holmes said this, short test. That was a short test. Concentration of thought is not an effort to compel, but the desire to permit the stream of creative energy to take definite form. So here's the question. Are we freely giving permission to this creative form, to this creative energy to take us? Or are we getting in there and telling it how we want it to turn out? How many of you are control freaks? Raise your hands because I know you all. Yes. Okay. But maybe some of you, don't raise your partner's hand. Did you raise your hand?
No.
You didn't? Wow.
Raise your hand.
We both have issues with control.
Do you want to tell them about our cooking lesson this week?
No. So, no. It was funny. We were about to cook, and he was going to cook a portion, and he did something. I was like, "Why are you doing that?" He said, and he was like, "Well, you're going to let me cook?" I said, "But you just did that. That's not in the recipe." And then he showed me. I was like, "Oh, it is in the recipe. God, you do it." And then he walked away, and then I did it, and I screwed it up. And he came back, and then he didn't say anything about my screwing it up. But once it was screwed up, he then had to do something else, and I went, "That's not how you do it." He goes, "It is once you screw it up." And then he said something like, "And you think you don't have control issues." But dinner was delicious, wasn't it? Came out well. Yes. So, concentration of thought is not an effort to compel, but the desire to permit the stream of creative energy to take definite form. So, giving the thing in you, the God in you, the creativity in you, permission, Doña, to be the greatness that you are. What if that's all it took? All it took, Eric, was for you to give yourself permission to be as successful as you could ever possibly imagine. Permission. Not waiting for permission, not waiting for somebody else to say, yes, it's okay, but giving yourself permission. I give myself permission to succeed at everything I do. So flow through, baby. How's that feel? Okay, so question. What have you always wanted to do? Do you remember me asking you that this month? What have you always wanted to do? Well, I went to New York. I got to go to New York and see some Broadway shows, and I had some real ahas, which I will talk about. And those ahas brought me to this understanding. There are things I really, truly want to do. And if I give myself permission to do them, my next job is to not stand in the way. And also, not stand in the way and tell it how I expect it to turn out. If I give myself permission to do this, then I give myself permission to do this, and it will unfold perfectly. Yes? Yes. That's it. And we either trust that or we don't. And when we do trust that, life changes dramatically. When we don't trust that, life really changes dramatically because we're working so hard to try to make it be what we want it to be instead of, as Ernest Holmes says, letting it flow through you, giving the universe permission to work it out through you. So, in week 3, I asked this question. Are you free to feel your true feelings? This was an interesting one because freedom to feel what you're truly feeling and then realizing why you feel that way. And often when you feel what you feel and you look into it and you realize you're feeling what you feel, not because you're free to feel it, because one of those dominoes is causing you to feel it. And that's pretty important when you realize that and you go, wait a minute, I'm still freaking feeling things because of what happened to me as a child. I'm still feeling things because my mother said this, or my father said this, or my teacher said this. I remember my college teacher saying to me, you know, when I was in the musical theater program, and he didn't cast me in the lead of this show called Dames at Sea. And I was like, are you insane? I'm the only one here that sings, dances, and acts, and can tap dance. And you hired this guy who couldn't. And I'm having this meeting with my professor, and he said, I just don't think you have it. Well, that clearly didn't stop me. So, but that domino has always been there. It still did something. Those words couldn't go back in once they came out. So perhaps that was my motivating factor so that, what was that? I was 19 at the time. 6 years later, when I starred on Broadway, I got to write him a nice little note. I said, you may not have thought I had it, but Jerome Robbins, Stephen Sondheim, and Leonard Bernstein did. Who wins? Something like that, because I wasn't a minister at the time. I just wrote the way I felt. But that's actually what I'm talking about. Do I have to speak like a minister because I'm a minister? Or do I have to just speak my truth in a loving manner, of course? So, are you free to feel your feelings? And have you done the work to know if the feelings you're feeling are actually feelings that are yours to have in this moment? Or they're just old, regurgitated, habitual feelings that you keep bringing up and bringing up and bringing up? That was a great, great thing for me to feel. Am I actually free to feel what is mine to feel? And Ernest Holmes said this: place no limit on principle. Train yourself to think what you wish to think, be what you wish to be, and feel what you wish to feel. And part of that is just asking yourself, what am I feeling right now? What am I feeling? And is this mine? Or do I feel this because of something that happened and I'm merely reacting to it? So that was week 3. On week 4, last week, we sang Say What You Want to Say. The freedom to say what you want to say, and most importantly, to be what you want to be. Bringing all parts of you into alignment and recognizing the whole of you. And I talked about here's me over here and here's me over here, and sometimes I think I have to be one or the other when I'm all of it. And we are free to be all of it at all times and not box ourselves in to some limited version of ourselves. Right, Andrea? You are so many things, not just one. So you are free to be you. And my talk last week was why hold back. So I would like to know that after 4 weeks of this, we've really done the work to stop holding back, to really say what we want to say. It's interesting, because we went to brunch last week after church, after our service, and me and Eric and Tiffany, and the two of them were like not holding back anything. They just, right? They just started talking, and all of a sudden we were all talking, and Eric was there and Margaret, and we're all just talking about all these things, and I finally said, I will never give that talk again. Because everything was coming out of like, this is really how I feel. This is really how this makes me feel. This is really what's going on. And it was great to unleash all of that. Well, how much do you think you have in you that you're still holding back? How much do you think is still inside of you that you're not owning up to? Joe called me this week. We had a great talk about something. And I was like, no, this is what it is. You get to do this. You get to say what you want to say. You get to tell people what you believe, what you think, what you really require. I loved Dr. Walker. How many of you know Dr. David Walker? So he was my mentor, my teacher. He gave a talk one Sunday about require, what he requires in life. And it was all about cream and passing the cream. And this woman at a party, and he went to this very rich place to have brunch, it was. And she turned to him and she poured the coffee and she said, do you require cream? And he was like, when he did the story, it was great because he was like, require? Do I require? I don't require cream. I mean, I like cream, but do I require cream? I mean, I don't know. What does that mean, require? I feel like I'm really, and she just looked at him. She was like, what that means is, do you take cream in your coffee? He was like, well, yes, I don't drink coffee without it. And she said, then you require it. So what do you require that you may be having a conundrum about and don't really understand? This is what you need in your life to be happy, to be passionate, to be successful, to live the life you want to live. Love I get to talk about Dr. Walker. So this is my talk this week. The title of my talk this week is Freedom. What of it? And the reason I created this idea for this talk is because freedom means nothing. It absolutely means nothing except what it means to you. That's it. I can go through every single week, as I just did, and ask you all of those questions. But in the end, you have to be willing to use your mind to be free. You cannot be free if you're unwilling to use your mind. If you are unwilling to use this teaching, this philosophy, to create the life you want. Stan set me up perfectly. His life changed when he came here 8 years ago because he heard something and he used it. And yes, he went through all the classes, became a practitioner. Now he has the love of his life. He's free to live the most amazing life he's living because of this philosophy, because he used his mind. So at the end of the day, you are only as free as your mind is. So what's it going to be? What of it? What of your freedom? Are you willing to do what it takes to create in your mind the freedom to be, do, have, receive, achieve, experience anything you want? Anything, anything. There are no limitations. And all of these that's 3 times I've used that. All of these freaking dominoes, to hell with them. We don't even believe in hell, but to hell with them. Just push them back, and then walk clean, free. No dominoes, no core beliefs, no old stuff, no Mr. Mooney who said to me that I didn't have it. That domino is so far gone, it's blown up. So, what's it going to be? It's all going to come down to how you use your mind. There's this lyric. People walk around every day playing games and taking scores, trying to make other people lose their mind. Well, be careful you don't lose yours. It's important, very important, that what you do in your life is not allow this world, this relative world, the relative facts, your history, anything outside of yourself dictate or tell you what is yours to think, do, experience. That's the way it works. There is no other way it works. So, as you move forward for the rest of this month, which means for the rest of this day, because we start a new theme tomorrow, it really is time to ask ourselves, what the hell have I been thinking about? What have you been thinking about? What have you allowed yourself to think about this month, or even today, that is dictating and creating whatever you want to do moving forward? You know, Doña, would you come up for a minute?
Sure.
So what have you been thinking about just now? Yeah, what have you been thinking
About giving myself permission. I've been thinking about that. That's huge.
Okay,
it's a huge
girls,
awakening.
come up here with me. Mindy, what have you been thinking about? How are you using your mind?
I was just thinking about why hold back.
Why hold back? And it's time for you to not hold back, right?
So beyond time for me to not hold back.
I know.
Yeah.
What would that look like? What would Mindy Schinnerer look like not holding back? I won't even ask Carol what that would look like.
I think that would scare my sons.
What have you been thinking?
I did not think you were coming over here. To be honest, I was really thinking how I've heard all of this month and wanting to believe it and haven't felt free all month at all.
You haven't?
No.
How do you feel today? Right now?
Tired. But honestly, like, I'm hoping that next month I will feel free. Like, I'm hoping to catch up.
Okay.
I really am.
I think you could catch up in 2 seconds.
Hey, let me try.
Yeah, right? Okay.
I'm going to try to be free. With all this energy, look at all the beautiful faces.
But you know what? I want you to hear
Thank you, darling.
I want you to hear what she just said, though. She's being so honest. And a lot of us have that same feeling. I so want to believe what Dr. James says on a Sunday. You know how many people say that to me? I so want to believe that what you're saying is true. I'm like, do you think I'm lying? No, it is true. It is absolutely true. And that is exactly what I want you to think about.
That's right.
Much more than that.
Just time.
I ain't no psychiatrist, I ain't no to do to me. Yeah, 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 think. Let God let yourself be free. Oh, freedom. 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 Oh, freedom. Hey, think about it. You think about it. There ain't nothing you can ask I can answer you, but I won't. I was going to change, but I'm not. If you keep doing things I don't. Hey, yeah. Think about what you're trying to do to me. Yeah, 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 yeah. Let your mind go, let yourself be free. Now, people walking around every day playing games and taking score, trying to make other people lose their minds. But be careful you don't lose yours. Oh, think about what you're trying to do to me. Yeah, 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 yeah. Let your mind go, let yourself be free. I said, now you need me. I need you. Without each other, there ain't nothing neither can do. Yeah, yeah. Think about it, baby. Oh, come on now, help me sing. I said, now freedom. Freedom. Yeah, freedom. Can we go higher? We're gonna go higher. I said, there ain't nothing you could ask I can answer you, but I don't. I was gonna change, but I'm not. If you keep doing things I don't. Hey, hey, yeah. Think about what you're trying to do to me. Yeah, 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 yeah. Go ahead and let yourself be free. You need me, and I need you. Without each other, there ain't nothing people can do. Think about it, baby. Oh, come on. I said, think about it. Believe it. Think about it. I said, think about it. Come on, believe. Think about it. I said, hey. Think about it. I said, we're gonna think about it. Hey, come on, think about it. Come on now, think about it. Come on, think about it. Think, I said, you have got to stop and think about it. Think.
Doña Oxford, Mindy Shinner, Carol Hatchett. Woo! How's that to end the month? Yes.